Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Vanquish on the AMD Radeon RX 480 and 580, 8GB for FPS monitoring. I'll be using CAM. If you want to download this software, there's a link down in the description, and if you want to purchase any of the parts featured in this build and support the channel, there are Amazon affiliate links down in the description too. So Vanquish, I'll be doing 1080p, 1440p and 4K. To skip down those sections of the video, check the description below. I'll be using a G4560 and a Ryzen 5 1400. First of all, I have to clarify some stuff. When I say RX 580, I mean RX 480 overclocked, since that's pretty much what an RX 580 is. It's a better RX 480. So yeah, the RX 580 uses more power, but it's able to get to higher clock speed. So it's usually worth picking up over the RX 480 if you have a good enough power supply. But in this case, I just overclocked the RX 480 as high as I could in order to match an out-of-the-box RX 580. This is a good reference of an RX 580 if you just get one and you're not willing to overclock it. So first of all, I'll show you the G4560 on 1080p with the RX 480 using the maximum settings, and you'll see that I'm pretty much over 60 frames per second all the time. There might be a couple drops here and there, but the game's totally playable. I really don't see an issue playing it this way. Then I started testing with the Ryzen 5 1400, which I found kinda disappointing. It seems that this game takes advantage of the higher single-threaded performance of the Pentium. Still, the Ryzen 5 1400 is enough to be over 55 frames per second. Then at 1440p, I was able to get 60 frames per second quite easily with the RX 580. I'll talk more about the options menu in a second. And then at 4K, it was possible to get 60 frames per second by lowering the settings, so I recommend doing that if you want to get rid of all jaggies if you're on a 1080p monitor like I do. But I personally recommend 1440p instead. If you have a 1080p monitor, for example, it gets rid of most of the aliasing and it performs quite well. But yeah, now I'm going to talk to you about the options menu. So in the options menu, the first things that you should lower in order to get better performance if you're suffering from performance issues: SSAO quality, which is screen space ambient occlusion. This wasn't present on the console versions back then. If you turn that off, it's usually a good FPS boost. I'm mentioning this one first since it was the one that was the most subtle implementation. You won't notice much of a difference with it on or off. There is a difference, but it's very subtle. Since you move very quickly in this game, you will rarely notice those changes in graphical quality. At least that's my opinion. Then the other preset that you might want to lower is shadows. If you lower them from high to medium, you get a very noticeable FPS boost, but the shadows look quite worse. Shadows in this game don't look quite good, but that was to be expected. It's a very old game already. I think it's 7 years old. But on consoles they were filtered. Here they seem to be razor sharp for some reason. They didn't apply any of the filters to them, so they look quite blocky, but they still do the job correctly. And one weird thing that I noticed, the LOD option on or off. Some people might think that LOD, level of detail, if you turn it on, means better quality. It seems to be the other way around, since when you choose in the graphics quality options, you have low, medium or high, and it will configure the game for you. If you select high, it'll keep everything cranked up, but LOD will be kept on off. But if I move it to low, it will move everything to the lowest preset, but LOD will be kept on, which makes me suspect that LOD enabled means that there's a lower draw distance for some reason, and I noticed this with LOD on versus off, so I'm not sure why they implemented that way, but that seems to be how it works according to the graphics quality presets, since as I said, low keeps it on and high keeps LOD off, which is weird. Then on the anti-aliasing options, you have Edge 2X, Edge 4X, Edge 8X, FXAA or off. These options don't seem to be anything like MSAA as you would expect. They look quite blurry even at 8X for some reason, so I recommend using an injector tool such as NVIDIA Inspector in order to inject a different anti-aliasing technique, or just try a higher resolution like 1440p. With 1440p compared to 1080p Edge 8X, it's a huge difference. The blurry edges at 1440p on a 1080p monitor are gone, so I recommend doing that instead if you have a good enough graphics card. And the HDR option is not HDR from the monitors that you see on high-end monitors that rarely exist. It's not the new option on high dynamic range, This is the high dynamic range of the old games. It's like HDR lighting. In this game it seems to control the bloom implementation, just like on Bayonetta. So HDR in this options menu appears to be the bloom option or something related to lighting. It doesn't have anything to do with HDR on televisions or monitors, so keep that in mind. That's a much different technique than what we have here. It runs quite good, but I saw on the G4560 that 60 frames per second was possible. But if you want to take advantage of the extra horsepower of your GPU, I don't know, you maybe want to go over 80 frames per second all the time, you might want to consider an i5 or a Ryzen 5 chip. I mostly noticed this on the RX 470, RX 480, the GTX 1060. Anything over a GTX 1050 Ti was worth getting a better CPU. But again, if you want 60 frames per second, a G4560 is more than enough for what I could see. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
A little warmer reception than I was hoping for. Out of the way! Have some juice. Hold still. Administering empty. Fucking robot. Get out of the way. Warmer reception than I was hoping for. Get out of the way! Out of the way! Get out of the way! Have some juice. Thanks for the backup!
Sam, I'm picking up some sort of interference on the scanners. Looks temporal.
You think they're zapping something in?
Enemy reinforcements are closing in on your position.
Are there any other ways to get up top?
It looks like you're just going to have to fight through this one. The gate's open now.
Good. Let's go. Fire! Target!
Reception than I was hoping for.
Get out of the way!
I'm picking up some sort of interference on the scanners. Looks temporal.
You think they're zapping something in?
Enemy reinforcements are closing in on your position.
Are there any other ways to get up top?
It looks like you're just going to have to fight through this one. The gate's open now.
Good. Let's go. Fire! Target! Enemy! Target! Out of the way!